Wednesday, July 2nd. I'd like to welcome everybody in the viewing audience to the July meeting of the Revere Conservation Commission. First item on the agenda is roll call. Member Daniel Bluestein. Here. Member Joseph LaValle. Here. Member Vincent Camerata. Here. Vice Chair Joseph James. Here. Member Ann Raponi. Here. Member James Cerboni. Here. And I'm Andrew B. DeSantis, Chairman of the Commission. Next item on the agenda is approval of the minutes of June 4th, 2014. Do I have a motion to approve? All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Any opposed? Voted in the affirmative. Next item on the agenda is a continued public hearing, notice of intent, DEP file 061 0647 770 778 Washington Ave, Wakefield Associates, mixed-use residential and commercial development. They have contacted me and asked for a continuance to our next meeting. Do I have a motion to grant the continuance?
So moved, Mr. Chairman.
That was by Vincent?
Yes, sir.
And seconds by Mr. Member Sabone? Joe James. Well, I'm thinking that if we don't have any business before us for August, we'll skip meeting in August and meet in September.
Thank you.
So it'll be the call of the chair. What, no meeting in August?
I'll second it.
Well, it depends on whether we have a filing or not. There is a time frame in the regulations that we need to follow.
We'll leave it up to you,
Okay.
Chairman.
All those in favor on the motion? Any opposed? Voted in the affirmative. Next item on the agenda is a public hearing for DEP file 061 0649 31 Dick Street, single family home. Jeffrey Mall is the applicant, or Arlo LLC is the applicant on this project. Do I have a motion to open the public hearing?
I'll make the motion to open the public hearing.
All those in favor? Any opposed? Voted in the affirmative. Rick and Lou, state your name, make sure you speak into the mic, green light's on.
Great. Thank you, Mr. Chairman, members of the Commission. For the record, my name is Rick Salvo with Engineering Alliance, here this evening on behalf of Jeffrey Mall, the applicant for the subject property. It is located at 31 Dick Street. It's also known as Tax Map 8, Block 92A, Lot 8. It's a rather small lot, comprised of 1,706 square feet. It did already receive the zoning relief required to be able to construct a dwelling unit on the property. And given the fact that the resource areas that are present on this property consist of the 100-year floodplain, which is a resource area that's protected under the Wetlands Protection Act, we're here before you this evening. We did do a topographic survey of the subject property. There were two control points that were set on the street for us via GPS to determine the NAVD 88 datum elevation. According to the flood insurance rate map, the floodplain in this area is elevation 6, which is the resource area under the Wetlands Protection Act because it's a coastal floodplain, land subject to coastal storm flowage. And as you're aware, at least at this point, the Wetlands Protection Act does not have any performance standards for work within that particular resource area. Nonetheless, the building code most certainly does for flood-resistant construction. The proposal before you is to construct a dwelling unit that's 25 feet by 25 feet, rather modest size given the modest size of the lot. That's the size that was permitted through the Board of Appeals. We have provided a flow-through foundation with the requisite flow-through openings, which requires that you have 1 square inch of opening for every square foot of enclosure. We did provide you with a cross-section indicating the way the dwelling unit would be constructed. Utility connections, obviously out to the street, everything gets cut and capped and put right back to the existing grade, so there's no grade changes or permanent impacts to the resource area associated with the installation of utilities. In keeping with good housekeeping practices, we did propose hay bales and silt fence for temporary erosion control around the subject property, especially given the close proximity of the abutting properties. It's a fairly straightforward proposal, so I guess with that, I would turn it back to the Commission for any questions or comments that you have.
Thank you, sir. Questions, comments from Mr. Salvo or Mr. Kroon?
Well, I thought this was a very thorough submittal, so I have no additional comments.
Thank you. Anybody else? If you're going to ask a question, put your mic on and speak into the mic, please.
And if I remember, was there 2 trees that had to be worked on that property?
There are 3 quite large trees in the front of the property
Right.
which are planned to be removed.
And you're taking steps to remove them or cut them to a different
Yes.
size?
Yes, they will be
Okay.
removed.
How about the mushrooms? You going to take them mushrooms off them trees?
I'm not sure about those, but thank you.
I have a question, Rick. In that you show 2 flow-through openings, 25 by 25, 625 square feet. So it's a little bit less than that because you're measuring the area inside the foundation, or you're just looking at the one side of the building and not including the garage.
Just one side. Well, the majority of the garage is outside of the floodplain because we're at elevation 6 at this portion. Some of the back portion of the garage is, but we did include the portion that's all outside. Excuse me, it's just the opposite of that. The garage is what's included, not the area outside of the garage. We included the whole garage, even though the front portion of the garage is technically outside of the floodplain.
Grades inside the footprint of the building ranging from 462 up to 562.
Correct.
Max.
And the building will all be flow through and will be allowed to flood, so that's why we didn't count that as an impact.
I've written an order that requires you to have 4 openings.
I'm sorry?
I've written an order that requires you to have 4 openings rather than the 2 shown, so that
Okay.
even the garage. The other thing that I put in the order,
So you'd want to see openings in the garage as well, just so I'm clear?
yes,
Okay.
that's correct,
Yep.
is that it not be impermeable pavement in the driveway. I know DPW is going to require you to build sidewalk with granite curb. And
Okay.
we don't have any objection to that being impermeable, but anything on the property.
Okay, so the pavement, so the driveway itself can either be crushed stone or a pervious paver or a pervious bituminous?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah,
I
Jeffrey
think that was
Mall
discussed
built
at the
one
site
on
visit anyways.
Jones Ave where he put in crushed stone.
Okay.
Anything else? Do I have a motion to close the public hearing? Issue an order. I've written an order. It's
So
pretty
moved.
typical for this type of building. Motion by Vincent Camerata. Do I have a second? Second by Vice Chair Joseph James. To close public hearing and issue order of conditions.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I appreciate the
You're
quick
welcome.
turnaround on this as well. Thank you.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Vote in the affirmative. You go, sir. Yeah, so you voted, it's all set. I just need to copy it, file it with DEP. There's a 10-day waiting period, and then I'll mail it to the address stated on the application.
I got it someplace.
Moving on. Next item on the agenda is a public hearing for a notice of intent, DEP file 0610648, Ocean Ave, Lot 3, Upton and Partners, LLC, multi-unit residential. Do I have a motion to open the public hearing?
I'll make the motion.
Do I have a second? All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, you'll be presenting, Joe. Would you speak into the mic, identify yourself, and good to go.
Good afternoon, Mr. Chairman, members of the Commission. For the record, Joe Pesnola from Hancock Associates, representing Upton and Partners, with this notice of intent for what we're calling Lot 3 on Ocean Ave. This is part of the Waterfront Square project, which was envisioned or has been envisioned for years now and coming to fruition. We were before you last year with Lot 1 for Covington, which is now under construction. This is very, very similar, except for the fact that we don't have any buffer zone impacted on this project. Our only resource area is area subject to coastal storm flowage. The elevation in this area is elevation 10. As you know, as you may know, this area is part of the large commuter parking lot, so it's currently all paved. And the proposal here would be to build a 5/2, 2 stories of garage with 5 stories above, apartment building with 230, currently 230 units within it. The footprint of the building would pretty much encompass the lot on the lower level, except on the northerly boundary would be 25 feet away. And then up above, the building would have a little bit different shape, kind of a U shape to it. So you can see that there's 2 main elements that address the street, and then the U sets back. So up on the above the second parking deck, there'll be a platform, a patio for residents. So the view is here, and that's the building above. The rest of what you're seeing there is the parking garage, the 2-level parking garage that lands on the ground. That parking garage will be fully opened in the back and on the sides, and allow storm flowage to move back and forth through it. The general elevations in there are between elevation 5 and 6, and again the NAVD 88 elevation for the floodplain is elevation 10. Originally, when this was envisioned through the MEPA process, although there isn't a performance standard under the regulation to provide compensatory storage, there was a commitment for the overall project to provide compensatory storage for any floodplain that's lost with the construction of this. That floodplain storage for this lot will occur in the Eastern County ditch, in the Eastern County ditch work area that was envisioned under the MEPA filing. Essentially, the Eastern County ditch runs from 1A to under Revere Street, and the area proximate to it will be lowered to provide additional flood storage. On the MEPA filing, this lot had projected almost 97,000 cubic feet of impact. The building's been redesigned, and what's hitting the ground or what's proposed to hit the ground is a lot less. We're currently at 25,000 cubic feet. So about a quarter of what was envisioned with the MEPA filing. I think they were very conservative because they didn't have building design, full building designs back there. So this is a very open structure with regards to the inside. What we're really hitting with the ground with is the ramp structure, the lobby, and the columns, and everything is above that. There'll be some facade treatment on Ocean Ave that will make the building aesthetically very, very, very beautiful. But again, on the back and sides, we will be wide open, far exceeding the FEMA requirements of 1 square inch per square foot of area that lands within the floodplain. We have presented it within the plan set a full sedimentation erosion control plan. We will have a construction entrance on the northwest corner, northeast corner of the site. We will line the northerly border with wattles and silt fence to protect any flowage that goes off this site onto Lot 2. Lot 2 is currently paved and is not under construction. It's being used as a staging area. So we'll protect any drainage structures that are there that might have sediment.
Lot 2 is the lot between you and Covington?
Lot 2 is to the north. And that is currently being used as a staging area for Lot 1. And there are similar provisions for its shared use for this lot. So we'll handle whatever sedimentation, erosion control, but it really is a contained site with regards to proximity to the wetlands. As far as stormwater is concerned on this project, it's really simple. We're taking a large parking area and we're putting a building. We're putting a building on top of it. So we're turning what is untreated paved surfaces and we're turning it by and large into captured roof drainage. That roof drainage will go into infiltration areas that will be located to the rear of the property to provide some recharge that's not happening. And that was also something that was committed within the MEPA filing. We will have 2 areas, so every parking space will be covered. And therefore, that'll be handled by internal drainage that will go through MDC, MWRA traps and into the sewer system. And again, the roof drainage will go into an infiltration system, which the overflow will go into the on-site piping system that goes down through Lot 2, into Lot 1, and then into the Eastern County ditch via the existing pipe that's there. So it's mimicking the existing flow with the interruption of the recharge and also the fact that it's roof drainage now, so it's considered clean instead of the parking lot drainage. We do have 2 areas that will be exposed to surface, to rainfall. That's the ramp on the southeast side and the loading area for residents to park loading vans to access the freight elevator on the northeast side. Those areas will be self-contained drainage systems. They'll be treated with a hydrodynamic treatment device, like a Vort Sentry or a Storm Scepter. I think we're currently calling for a Vort Sentry. And then that will be tied into the Ocean Ave drainage system. So there's full treatment there. So there'll be a reduction in the flow from the site because we are introducing some green space. There'll be some green space along the back, and there'll be a dog walk area in the northwest side of the building in that 25-foot strip that I said the garage is set back.
On the dog walk, Joe, that drains to the drain system?
That will just be independent. It'll drain It'll be self-sufficient. It'll drain into the ground.
Okay.
And there'll be an infiltration system underneath it.
So as far as any bacteria generated by the dogs, it's not getting into stormwater?
No, it'll go through the loam and the sub-base material. So,
Thank you.
Mr. Chairman,
Mr. Chairman?
on the drainage system,
Mr. Camerata?
yeah, you suggested about having maintenance, good maintenance on all the drainage system?
Absolutely. Well, we have presented a full operation and maintenance plan with logs, outlines what needs to be done when, and that'll be followed by the owners.
Thank you.
Absolutely.
Thank you.
Member LaValle?
Just a point of information. I think you mentioned something about MWRA sewage when you were talking about the parking drainage. That was, you didn't mean to say sewage, did you?
The interior drains will go through an MDC trap, or an MWRA trap, they call it now, because MDC became MWRA, and then into the sewer system in Ocean Ave. But that's an interior drain, and that's required by plumbing code.
Could you clarify that? What's the interior drain? Are you talking about the indoor plumbing? Or are you talking about
the garage drains, the inside garage drains that'll pick up snow melt or drip off the cars or anything that might leak from the cars.
And that's going to the MWRA
That's going into
sewage treatment plant?
into the sewer, yeah. But it's a very small quantity of water because it's
That's something.
That's
You know, I thought that was called infiltration. That would have been.
No, with parking garages, underground, even on surface, that are mostly enclosed, are required to drain to sanitary, not to storm.
That's plumbing code.
That's
Goes
plumbing
outside.
code, yeah. Yeah, we found that out here in Revere when they built across the street 30 years or so years ago.
So we had the site walk on Saturday. Some questions did come up, and we did send in a letter that.
Okay, why don't you review those? I didn't distribute those, and then I'll open it up to further questions.
There was a question with regard to the I&I, the infiltration and inflow, and we'll be working with the engineering department and public works to come up with that contribution to the I&I. We have checked on sewer capacity, and public works believes there's plenty of sewer capacity in Ocean Ave, so that's not a problem. Again, we're talking about 233 units, so we're aware of the flows and presented those to them, and they have no issues there. There was a question with regards to the elevations of the building itself, and we've shown you that, and the zip cars. Thank you. We haven't outlined exactly what the final plan is, but we talked to Mr. DeGanges from Eurovest, who's the master developer of the entire waterfront square, and in their proposal to the city originally, Building H is supposed to have a dedicated area for zip cars. But we're going to continue to look into what we will do on site with regard to our residents and so forth, and the potential for offers like that or electric vehicles or what have you, based on demand.
Was there any request for parking relief beyond anything that was in the MEPA documents for Waterfront Square?
No, the waterfront overlay district has a very, very low parking requirement, and so we are providing more parking than is required by that zoning bylaw to meet the market demands. So it's a balance between the two.
Member Sabone, you have a question?
Yeah. What's the whistle?
All right, thank you.
Getting back to the units, 229 units. Could you tell, I don't know, maybe I didn't read it, about how many bedrooms in these units?
Some two, some ones. You gave the number of the site.
Was it in there? I didn't see it,
At the
Joe.
site, you said like there was some,
I didn't see it.
52.
There's 119 two-bedrooms. There's 61 bedroom, I'm sorry, 119 one-bedrooms.
One bedroom.
62 bedrooms. And
How many? 60?
60. And
62 bedrooms?
62 bedrooms and 50 studios.
Thank you.
Member Simone, you got a question?
Yeah, I understand the footprint has been reduced from the original design, but I just wanted to be clear that a notice of project change was submitted for the MEPA process.
I think it's a moving target. We haven't discussed with the overall developer, Mr. DeGangi's, the need for a notice of project change on the MEPA because it's kind of an evolving process. The notice, the number of units and the building sizes are not changing. It's the actual design and what hits the ground. And I think the original architects who were involved, Arrow Street, who are still involved, they're the architects for this, were conservative in what they thought was going to hit the ground with the building designs when they came up with the compensatory storage needs. So what's being reduced is just that, not the massing, not the units or anything like that. So I think from the standpoint of lessening the impact, it might not raise the level of requiring a notice of project change.
Did I hear wrong?
Member Bluestein?
Can you just go over the elevation of the dog walking area, the grade of that from the front to the back? Is it?
It's all currently about elevation 5.6. The proposed grades inside the building are right around there as well, so I envision it to be pretty much flat at the existing grade. There'll be a ridge around the perimeter of where the building encloses the parking underneath it, so that water that lands, the drip from the cars will go in, stay in the garage, and anything that rains on the ground will move away from the garage. So there's definitely that separation. But other than that, the dog walk area will be flat, and as I said, allowed to seep into the grass.
Through the chair,
Member Lavalley?
on the parking area, the two floors parking.
2 floors.
Now you said that's basically all open. I assume it's what a half, 4-foot wall, and then it's open for the rest of the way. Is that how it's going to work?
Now, when I say it's open, it means it's open from the sides for floodwater. The lower level has the second level that covers it, and then there'll be a roof over the second level, so that no rain will hit any of the parking spaces themselves.
But are the sides open?
The sides are open. Yeah.
You could basically look through there and see the autos.
Right.
Okay, and again, like I said, it's about a 4-foot wall, 3-foot wall.
We haven't.
I'm trying to just envision.
Vetted out the exact dimensions. There'll be some barrier to stop cars, whether that's bars or some kind of architectural element. That hasn't been fully designed.
Okay, thank you.
Anybody else? When do you anticipate start of construction?
Would like to be in the ground by the fall, hopefully, if we can get everything in order.
And a construction period of?
22 months.
What's the will of the commission with this? I have an order prepared, very similar to the one that was done for Covington. It includes a provision in it, as suggested by Member LaValle, that in the threat of a flood, such as we may have this week, that automobiles, signs be posted and automobiles be moved out of the flood area.
That's acceptable. Probably come up with some kind of a plan to move them to the second deck and have some kind of valet-type parking to get them in there. A pre-planned concept of how the cars would come up and be stacked in there.
So do we have a motion to close the public hearing and issue an order?
I so move, Mr. Chairman,
I'll second it.
and issue your order of conditions.
Who seconded it, please?
I'm sorry.
Who seconded my motion?
I did.
Joe did. Joe did.
All those in favor? Any opposed? Voted in the affirmative.
Thank you very much.
You're welcome. Here you go, sir. Moving on. Next item on the agenda is a vote on a minor amendment to DEP file number 0610563, Ward Street Planned Unit Development, formerly residence at Rumney Marsh. Mr. John O'Connor from Dolbin is present to make a presentation. Introduce yourself, speak into the mic, John, if you
Good
will.
evening, Chairman and the Board. John O'Connor from the Dolbin Company. We'd be the developer and owner of the Rumney Marsh residences, or formerly the Rumney Marsh residences. We'll still be naming it Rumney Marsh in some way. I have with me Brad Mesquita from Ty and Bond to go over the engineering portions.
Okay, so if you just explain what this request is about.
Hello, my name is Brad Mesquita from Time Bond. As you're familiar with the site, this is the second half of the PUD
You speak into the mic if you would, Brian.
that was originally the BJ's project. This is the residential portion that was on the other side of the drainage just behind the existing BJ's. You can't get it either. What we're here for you is the original design of the plans you have before you called for 3 underground detention structures in back of the 3 residential buildings.
If you want to just take a minute, Brian, I think John needs engineer's help on it. Okay.
Yeah, you can
That's
put
fine.
piano white for me.
How many engineers?
Yeah, does it take, right?
So again, as the original approval went, there were 3 underground detention basins in back of, in between the building and in the drainage ditch. All the drainage from the site went into these underground chambers, then was discharged to the swale. Each individual underground detention bond had its own head wall and discharge into that swale. What we're proposing is essentially condensing into 2 underground detention chambers instead of 3. And this is allowed to happen because we can go from a 16-inch high chamber to a 30-inch high chamber. So we can get more volume than we actually had previously with less square footage. And the reason we're asking for this is all the utilities that are going to service this development were designed to come right up the left-hand side. When that's being water, sewer, electric, gas, it was getting tight. So what we're hoping is that if we go to the 2-chamber system, we can now bring electric over there on that side of the building and ease up some of the congestion on the other side. What this does for you is provide you additional volume in the underground chambers than what you have on the originally approved plan, and reduces, 1, impact, if you will, of a head wall into the drainage ditch, so now we only have 2 instead of 3. Essentially, that's the change that we're talking about.
I have a question, Andy.
Okay.
The original plan,
Good.
thank you, Andy. The original plan was for 3, and you decided that 2 would work out much better and more favorably to make room for the electric area?
Correct. You had your water, your sewer, your gas, your drainage, your electric, telephone, cable, everything in this one corridor. And it became very congested. Not concerned we were in the event of a water main break. We have all those utilities that could be jeopardized.
So it works out much better with the larger piping.
This way here, we can hold the same amount of volume and tap the capacity for more, but it also allows, it frees up enough space on this side to run our electric duct bank underneath the sidewalk and take it out of this side.
Thank you very much. Thanks, Andy.
Mr. Chairman, question?
Member LaValle?
The depth would be the same as it was with the 3?
Your inverts of the bottom of the chambers are identical, one to the other. If you're on the submitted detail sheets that we provided, we gave you what is approved and what is proposed. Inverts are all the same on the bottom of the chambers. Obviously, the top, it's a taller chamber for more volume, but the inverts are all the same.
Would, if the chambers are taller, would they be as effective?
Actually, these are going to be more effective because you actually have more volume to store the stormwater than what you have today. We actually increased the volume of detention.
Thank you.
Members, you received what I sent in the package in the mailing, which showed the stormwater system memorandum
Yes, we did. I did.
and the plans. You didn't get them, Daniel? Would have had the cover of the stormwater memorandum on them. From Ty and Bond. Nobody's got them? Yeah, Joe's got it, yeah. And you've got it, yeah. Yeah. Yeah, I thought you might not have, Daniel, when I saw you looking at the plan. Yeah, my mistake, sorry.
So I just have a question. Are you moving the catch basins laterally at all? Because if you go to the right more, that's the area of the drainage ditch, which I think on the north part is considered salt marsh.
Yeah, the edge of curb, if you will, on that whole side is identical to where you had it before. We are not changing limits of pavement. We've held the outside curbing in your catch basins. The only thing that's changing is the actual underground chambers, which are underneath the pavement.
Okay.
Any further questions on this? Do we have a vote to accept the minor amendment?
I'll make the vote to accept it.
Do we have a second?
I'll second, Mr. Chairman.
All those in favor? Okay, you're all set.
Thank you.
You're welcome. You could keep this, Daniel, if you want. Yeah, because I've got PDFs anyways. Next item was cease and desist. I don't see anybody here, so I'll have to send them a registered letter. And motion to adjourn. Do I have a motion to adjourn?
And I'll second it.
Who made it?
Mr. James.
All those in favor? So voted. Adjourned.